Good evening, everyone. 6 p.m. Regular council meeting will now come to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Gentry, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Frank Baker.
Present.
Councilmember Belinda Livingstone.
Present.
Councilmember Leslie Otero.
Present.
Councilmember Lloyd Roberts.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Stable.
Here.
Vice Mayor Jody Shirley.
Here.
Mayor Dave Gaddis.
Here.
Manager Kyle Riefler.
Here.
And City Attorney Randy Moore.
Present. Thank you, Peggy. Before we get started, if anyone's microphone is not on, please turn it on. We'll assist there, Mr. Roberts. Sure. There we go. All right. All right, we're on to item 1. The first order of business is approval of the agenda. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is approved. All right, now we move on to citizen comments. If any citizen would like to address the council about a topic not already on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be called on. We ask that you limit your comment to no more than 3 minutes. I saw this hand go up right here. Please come up, state your name and address, and please give us your comments. Before I call citizens randomly, I'm going to call the first 2 cards that I have in my hand. The first is Jane Lochner. Would you please come up and speak?
Good evening, Jane Lochner, 3320 Hibiscus Drive West. I just wanted to come up here and provide a suggestion to the council on possibly putting up like a fiberglass rod on the beach side of our 3 lots, so that when people put their umbrellas up now that we're allowed, thank you very much, that they can ensure they stay on our lot. Because when I was doing the beach cleanup this weekend, I noticed you can't really tell necessarily where those lots end when you're on the beach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next up is Gerald Vizawati.
Good evening, Gerald Blizzawati, 3100 Golf Boulevard. Happy New Year. Last year we had 2 big storms and we lost a lot of beach along Golf Boulevard here. Is there any idea when they're going to be refurbishing the beach in the near time?
Mr. Vizawati, we generally don't do a back and forth. And the main reason why is because we may not necessarily have the answer, or we may not necessarily agree. However, at the end of the meeting, any council member is welcome to answer your question during that time, and or they can reach out to you personally by phone call. I have your contact information here, and we will. I'm sure someone will get back to you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Do we have any other citizens that would like to speak? Yes.
Wendy Gaddis, 309 22nd Street. I just wanted to take a moment to give you an update on some of the things the Bel-Air Beach Community Foundation is working on. We are now participating in the Adopt a Mile program. We've adopted the Bel-Air Beach Causeway from Gulf Boulevard to Harbor View Lane. We'll be responsible for cleaning up litter for the 1 mile section for the next 2 years. We have 4 bridge cleanups scheduled for the year, and our first one will be Saturday, January 21st. Anybody wishing to volunteer, please meet at City Hall at 9 a.m. Garbage bags and gloves will be supplied. We've also launched the engraved brick program. Residents now have the opportunity to purchase a personalized brick that will be placed outside of City Hall. And I believe Kyle has put the location up there for everybody to see. There's two different size options, 4x8 and 8x8, and you can even add some clip art to your brick. We receive free delivery on a combined order of 16 bricks, and they'll all be installed at one time. Proceeds from the brick sales will be used to fund community events and improvement projects. So for more information, please go to www.ballardbeachcommunityfoundation.org for more details and to place an order. We are also organizing a community event for April 22nd, so I just want to let everybody know to mark your calendars to save the date, and more details will be coming soon. Lastly, we are actively looking for volunteers to help with the community foundations for our projects and our events. We have an open board position, and we are also looking for a tax preparer or an accountant to help us with our 2022 taxes and 990 filing. If anybody is interested in helping us, please go to the website or contact Ms. Daniel Lavenda directly. I also wanted to give a quick thank you for those that have already donated to the foundation. We appreciate your support, and thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Gaddis. Any other citizens? Anyone like to speak? All right. We are now closing citizen comments, and so we are now on to item 3, which is a presentation from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. Hi. Are you all by yourself tonight?
I think I am. I don't know who's supposed to be here tonight, but I can do with the code enforcement report at completion.
That will be just fine. We will move forward with the code enforcement report, and we actually do have a printed copy of what was going to be discussed.
Very good. Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor, staff, and citizens. Steve Clapper for the record. December was, again, a very busy year for code enforcement. We are doing a lot of enforcement, again, on some of the local ordinances as far as the weeds and brush. We're getting that pretty much taken care of. One thing that I'm very proud to say, we had an issue at the corner here of Causeway and Gulf Boulevard, and I spoke to the homeowner, and as of today, they started repainting their house. So I spoke to them Friday, and they said they were going to try to get something done in the next 2 weeks, but I was very pleased to see that they were painting today when I showed up this afternoon. Other than that, everything else is pretty much status quo. We still have probably about 4 cases right now that I'm working on for unlicensed contractors and unpermitted stuff. Got 2 more today, but again, they're going to be in compliance. So, but other than that, if anybody has any questions?
Council?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Harrison Avenue, the dock repair,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
dock repair, the derelict boat, I noticed there was a 15-day notice given. Do you know what the status of that is on Harrison Avenue?
At Harrison? What was the complaint on Harrison? You mean the dock?
lift that's broke. That's
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to get a permit pulled. The problem with docks is it's very difficult to get those permits pulled. And I've asked him to give me a call once he gets an estimate, because then he has to come through the city and then go through the county process. So we just had somebody on Alita we've been working on for 14 months now. She finally getting the permits and everything in order, so.
Right, and you run the risk of a lift floating off. It's hanging on by like one thread, and a boat that's half sunk. Those are things that need to be removed, not necessarily dock repair. What is our position on that, Kyle?
Well, I didn't know about the boat. Is the boat still there? Is it sunk in the water? Because I don't know anything about that. I know our marine unit pulled it out, and it was supposed to be removed by Sea-Tow. So that's the last I heard about it, and that was just before Christmas.
Yeah, it's still tied up, and then the lift, like I said, is just hanging on by one, when that lets go, I don't know where the lift's gonna end up, but chances are right up in the middle of it now, which is our channel to our marinas.
I'll take a look at the lift condition. If it is something that's about to break loose, then it will be removed before they get a permit to put something new in.
Any other questions or comments from the council? Thank you very much.
Have a good evening. Happy New Year.
Yeah, same to you. And I would also like to let you know that today is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. And we just wanted you to know that we certainly appreciate you, and we would appreciate the others if they were here.
I showed up. And I will tell you that actually, it's funny you mentioned that. Tomorrow night I am going to the hockey game. It's the Lightning has a law enforcement appreciation night, and a gentleman by the name of Mike Honeycutt, who owns Jet ICU out of Tampa, is taking 14 of us to the game tomorrow evening. So that's where I'll be tomorrow evening.
Well, I'll probably see you there, and I'll see you on the big screen.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
If we do have a representative from the sheriff's department, if they come in, we'll just halt the meeting, get a report, and then we'll get right back on track if that's okay with the council. Awesome. Great. All right. Now we are on to item 4, which is a presentation from Sharon Bois. Did I get that right?
You did.
Right. Who is a public affairs specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration. Welcome, Ms. Gadbois. And let's hear your presentation.
So I don't like to bore everybody with PowerPoints or anything like that. So I'm just going to kind of give you a quick overview and then maybe go into a couple of examples. So thank you so much for having me here, Mr. Mayor, Commissioner, and definitely Kyle over there. And so the Small Business Administration offers, or our mission is to help homeowners, renters, nonprofits, and businesses of all sizes to prepare for, respond to, recover from, and mitigate against disasters of all types, whether it's man-made or natural. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with Ian and also Nicole, but we're talking specifically about Ian. Pinellas County was considered a primary county within the Ian SBA declaration. And so we actually provide homeowners low interest disaster loans for physical property damage. We also, and that includes, if you have a roof damage, structural damage, debris, landscaping, fencing, things like that. Also, if there's any type of content inside the real estate structure itself that was damaged, that would also be considered. That's considered personal property. We have a mitigation aspect to the physical property loan. They would just need to ask like a loan officer, case manager, something like that. They definitely would have to have a physical property loan. Now, if Bel Air Beach was involved in another hurricane or another declaration from another storm within the last 2 years, and then, now they've gone through Ian, they might want to consider calling their SBA loan officer, case manager back and request a mitigation aspect. Maybe they might want to do some kind of house raising, retaining wall or something like that for consideration, because Florida does suffer a lot of damages here, whether it's hurricanes, tornadoes, water spouts, those kind of things. Also, I know that Bel Air Beach doesn't have any businesses per se, but sometimes there are solopreneurs, serialpreneurs that work from home, and all types of businesses are eligible to apply for low interest disaster loans, not just the physical. So if there are businesses maybe that work out of the home, then more than likely they would be eligible for the physical property damage for their home versus maybe the business, but that would be a question, of course, for the loan officer. And the economic injury disaster loan is, for instance, if they were a salesperson that sold, let's say, advertising to the media or something like that, and they worked out of their home. A lot of people work hybrid now and work from home. Then they may be eligible simply because maybe, people are spending their money on pre-existing, getting their homes back to pre-existing conditions. And so maybe now they don't have the extra funds to spend on other things like advertising and things like that. We were talking with Kyle earlier about secondary homes. Now there might be a possibility that there might be some homes on Baylor Beach that might be a secondary home. Now, those homes wouldn't be eligible for the physical property damage if it was damaged during Hurricane Ian. However, if it was used as maybe rental income, then that would be considered eligible. Does anyone have any immediate questions? I can tell you the interest rates if you're interested.
Sure.
Okay. The interest rates are as low as 2.188% for homeowners and renters. It's as low as 1.875% for nonprofits and 3.04% for businesses. And I like to kind of give an example of, let's say, a credit card example. And so sometimes people are a do-it-yourselfer. And so if they're kind of like that, like right after Ian, I know Pinellas County was without power, at least 400,000 people without power. So it might have spoiled some kind of, whether it's food or maybe had some kind of whatever it was. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer, maybe you had some kind of damage, roof damage or anything like that, then maybe it's possible that you go to Lowe's or something like that and get all your supplies and maybe put all of your, I don't know, maybe it was $20,000 to fix a home, just picking a number out of the sky, and you put it on a credit card. Well, as we know, credit card interest rates nowadays is 20-30%. Even pre-COVID, it's 10% maybe. So let's say you had excellent credit, pre-COVID, 10% on your credit card. But you threw $20,000 on there, what happens if you don't make your payment on the $20,000 the first time? It adds up, right? So you could actually pay yourself back for all of the money that you put on your credit card, for the supplies to fix your roof, not the 60-inch TV that you bought to watch Hurricane Ian. Okay, so you could pay yourself back with the low-interest disaster loan. And for homeowner and renter, it's 2.188% versus maybe 10% on the credit cards. Kind of an 8% difference there. Any questions?
Council? Any questions?
No?
No, that's great information. I'm going to send it out.
Thank you so much. I left my card there. If you'd be kind enough to just email me, is it Zabel or Zaga? Okay, so, just email me and then I can communicate with you, and if you have, maybe I can send you some additional documentation.
Yeah, actually, if you can, I'll send the email to you, and then what I'll do is I'll broadcast it out to a bunch of people. It's like, there's things that you just don't know.
That would be awesome. Thank you. And Commissioner Roberts?
Yes, I was just going to ask, I don't have any particular issues at this time, but if I know some people that may, it sounds like it's already answered. What's going to be the best way to get in contact with you?
So I actually left every single one of you one of my business cards, and if you would be so kind, Commissioner Roberts, is to email me. I'll be happy to send you over some documents, and if you need some additional documents, even if it's not related to, like Hurricane Nicole, for instance, you had somebody I can always communicate with you that way as well. So just send me an email. If you need to call me, you can call me on my cell. That's totally fine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions or comments from the council? Thank you very much, Ms. Cathcart.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, we're on to item 5, which is quarterly board reports. First off, do we have a report from the Board of Adjustments? Please come right on up and walk right in.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Mike Kelly, Board of Adjustment Chairman, good timing. Yes, we had a meeting this quarter. Yes, we had an interesting hearing, and with the help of Randy, and with the help of Kyle, and help of Patty, we handled an administrative appeal, something that Board of Adjustment normally doesn't handle. But we did this time, and Randy, thank you very much for being so cautious as to how we handle it. And Kyle, thank you for bringing forward Pinellas, the report by that planner, because that definitely helped our case. So it wasn't a normal variance. We had one coming up on Thursday, but it was administrative appeal. Any questions?
Do you have a You have another one coming up, and you said that's Thursday.
This Thursday is a regular variance for house, a house on 22nd that's under construction.
Council.
Are the minutes for these hearings that you were talking about on the city website?
Are they on the city website? Not sure. I know some of our members have attended, a couple of them have been out of town, but they've been able to participate, but I don't know that it's on the website. Is it on the website?
Now we can put it up.
Pardon?
I'll check to make sure that it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the one we have, Kyle made an administrative decision that the particular homeowner didn't agree with. So our board was asked to represent the city and make a judgment. And with Randy's help, that's exactly what we did. Thanks for being there.
Now, are you saying that the Board of Adjustment meetings are not being posted on the website?
They should be.
They should be.
The question was specifically whether the minutes were on the website.
Okay.
It wasn't clear what the minutes were. It's not even clear if the minutes have been approved at a subsequent meeting yet, so there's also that. That was their first meeting. This would be the first meeting since the meeting the gentleman was speaking about. So if they're not on, they'll certainly be on once the minutes are approved by the board.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the council? No. Thank you very much, Mr. Kelly.
Yes, sir.
Next up is the Citizens Advisory Committee report.
Thank you, Mayor. Ron Saganix is the Citizen Advisory Council Chair. We didn't have a meeting this past quarter. We're going to continue to work on the project we talked about last quarter, which is working with the city manager and assembling all of a variety of capital projects and stormwater projects. And we're working with bond counsel and lenders to get some potential quotes to present at a work session here in the near term, for you all to just decide if it's something worthwhile or not. That's it.
Council?
Yeah, one question. What's the market look like these days for loans?
Probably the interest rate for 15 years is around 4.5%. And so it's a little bit cheaper than the existing bond that we have, and we have 3 years remaining on. The good news is the 10-year treasury was falling the last 2 days, so that's the rate prior to that. So hopefully the 10-year keeps falling down and we decide it's what we want to do, then that'll be a good time.
Thanks.
Yep. And that is a tax exempt rate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sagan. Next up, Park and Recreation Board.
Good evening, everyone. Tammy Lavenda, Park and Rec Board Chair. So we had a very busy fourth quarter MOND. I'd like to thank all the volunteers that helped. We had a very nice Halloween event. Our first annual chili cook-off went very well. And then at our holiday social this year, it was very nice, and we had our first annual toy drive. I would like to say goodbye and thank you so much to Nicole, Ms. Tussman, who is resigning from the Park and Rec Board because she moved out of Bel Air Beach, but she still would continue volunteering and help us with the Community Foundation. So we will still be seeing her around, which is awesome. Brought a couple of props. For those of you that didn't come to the holiday social, we have our Bel Air Beach logoed for $20, and then we also have, oops, I wear my tall shoes so I can hold this up. Extra large beach dolls. So if you haven't seen them, they're very nice, and we usually only buy like 35 of them, so supplies are limited, but you can get them here at City Hall. And then we also may have a table at the Health and Wellness Fair for merchandise. We did have only 2 beach cleanups. Obviously, October was canceled because of Ian. And then Park and Rec Board did our first annual resident survey for the walking easement, which was a very fun project. Thank you so much. But for those of you that don't know, our Health and Wellness Fair is January 14th from 10 to 2. It's an open house format, and we would love to see you all there. We have a lot of really good health and wellness care providers that are attending this year. So I think that's everything. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Council? Any questions? Yes, Mr.
Sure, just a quick note, I bought 2 of those towels for full intent to use those in my swim practices, and they were relinquished over, and this is a good idea, use them in your guest bathroom. So we got 2 nice of those, Bel-Air Beach shell type things in the guest bathroom now.
Very nice. We do still have some hand towels that are exactly like this. Like, speaking of guest bathrooms, we've had those for a little bit. We don't have a lot of them left, but we do still have some in stock. Oh, and just one more quick note, we will no longer be doing the t-shirts because we had a very difficult time trying to accommodate sizes and colors and styles. So we literally get those at Mary Mouse, which is right down by Columbia and San Keys, so you could almost walk down there, a lot of us can. And they will, you can buy one at a time, where we had to kind of buy in bulk. So you can still get your Bel-Air Beach t-shirts and tank tops and stickers, but Mary Mouse is where you can pick those up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hilton. All right, next is Planning and Zoning Board.
Good evening, Council. Rudy Davis, standing in for J.C. Infeld, the Chair of the Planning and Zoning Board. Good to be here tonight. Reporting that we will have our first meeting for starting the process of the city's comprehensive review on Wednesday, January 18th. That'll be a very structured process that reviews the comprehensive plan initially or essentially to make sure we're complying to state standards. Any questions? Council?
Thank you very much, Mr. Davis. Appreciate you coming out tonight. All right, item 6, City Attorney's Report. Mr. Moore, you have the floor.
Off to a new year. Already, as usual, regular contact with the city manager. And at the end of the year last year in December, did a presentation with the League of Cities, as my office often does, on ethics, public meetings, and public records. Member Livingston already attended that and continue to offer similar education around the state. As it relates to this community, this will be the first time I'm serving as your city attorney as we enter the legislative session. Our office tends to monitor that session very closely. We're already looking at what's getting filed before it gets into committee and start seeing where our new forms of preemption will come from, or new unfunded mandates and the sorts of things that may change either your powers or what we do in this community. And so as that happens, we'll try to keep you updated. I will try in my report to keep you updated of the ordinances, not that just affect local government, but that may affect local government as it relates to your community. If any of you have particular concerns on the legislative agenda or the legislative session, not that affect your private interests, but those that relate to the city itself, please let me know so I can make sure that I'm tracking those and meeting any expectations you have in that regard. Otherwise, happy to answer any questions.
Council? Thank you very much, Mr. Moore. City Manager's Report. Mr. Reed, you're up.
Thank you. So, starting off with our 12th and 13th Bay Street Stormwater Project, we're getting very close to wrapping that up. You may have seen before the holiday, complete the paving. I think they did a nice job on it. After the new year, on January 5th, we did a walkthrough where we created a punch list for what things we saw that needed to be corrected on the project. Some of those things were some basic cleanup. Some of it was we spot some high points in the valley curb where they're going to have to restructure so it drains properly. Fortunately, the day we were out there was it just had rain before, so it kind of really showed where the drainage needed to be adjusted. They've submitted their last pay app. The engineer and I are reviewing it. We have some contentions on the quantities, so we're kind of in the back and forth to get our measurements versus theirs. At this point, they are claiming that the paver restoration came out even higher than our as-needed amount that was on the contract. We want to make sure that those measurements are correct. And then the other thing was the required base, 8-inch base of crushed concrete. But based on what the engineer measured for excavation, we think we're going to come down on what they claimed to have used for that quantity. So once we have that all wrapped up, it looks right now what they're submitted the payout for is they're over our total contract of about $26,000. I'm expecting it to come down some, but once that's finalized, we will need to do a budget adjustment for that overage. I will give you an update on that once we have the numbers, but I want to make sure they're accurate. After they finish that, we televise the segments that go from the inlets to the seawalls at both 12th and 13th. I have those. I want to share those videos with you guys. I sent them to the engineer. Engineers recommending that we do some kind of cure-in-place liner to seal off the integrity of those pipes. They're not failing right now, but they're on their way. And the last thing we want is for something to kind of fall in after we just replace a bunch of pipe in the system. So I'm working on getting proposals for those segments so that I can present them to you and show you the options we have. While we were out there cleaning the pipes on 12th Street segment, we discovered that the check valve was not functioning properly. I was out there with one of my staff members, and we removed it. I contacted the manufacturer. They are going to replace the valve because it kind of warped in a way that I've never seen before. They've never seen it. They're going to assess it and give us a new valve. So just be aware if we do get any comments of the tide levels rise and people are seeing that the water is infiltrating the system, that there is no check valve on 12th Street at the moment. It's a 15-inch valve. I didn't have a replacement in-house to swap out with, so we're waiting on that.
When do you anticipate having the replacement and it being installed?
They're usually pretty quick. I would imagine 1 to 2 weeks I should have it. We'll get it in immediately as soon as we can. It won't take very long. We have it all cleaned out, so just be popping out when the water's low enough and getting it fastened. So the underground project, that is continuing. The Duke has ordered their supplies. They expect the conduit to come in within 30 days. Once the material's in, it'll be stockpiled at the marina, and utility underground consultant Florida will begin installing them. So we should start seeing actual progress shortly on that. The seawall and boat ramp project, that is pretty much wrapped up. We are still working out the final payout. The city staff, after the last meeting, we talked about that wheel stop, that it actually became more of a burden on the ramp. We went out there, rented some tools and removed that wheel stop. And then I got the contractor to come out to clear more of the sediment that was around the outfalls, and they moved it where that drop-off existed. So over time, it's sloped off. We want to still kind of make sure that it's settled the way we want it, so the trailer can back up and not have any kind of obstacle or get caught on anything. So we moved that around. Shortly after that, I got the purchase order we approved for the dock. They came out, they installed the dock. The dock is got a better design than the original because on the lower landing, they actually put in piling for support as opposed to the way they kind of used to do it where they built it off the larger dock. So that should hold up better. I left out a bumper pole that used to be on the old dock. It can always be put back, but one of the complaints we're talking to the residents about the old dock is they thought when they backed up that they felt that space was limited for when they backed up the trailer. So that bumper pole was sort of encroaching on the pathway of backing up. So if it becomes a problem, I ordered some police that we're going to put on the lower landing so it's a tie-off. But if we do notice that people are going to try to use the dock as some kind of pivot point, then we might use a piling. But I tried to open the space for now and see how that works. The city staff is still going to do the backfill, so now that we have the dock complete, I have Phil scheduled to be dropped off on Friday. We'll use our equipment to start backfilling, and then we're going to order the stock so that we can restore the whole project. As the Citizens Advisory Chair told you, that we're still investigating the bond issue, loan for the stormwater projects. That is our determining factor as far as where we're going to be at as moving forward with stormwater. So if we get the loan, the idea is that we're going to try to combine all those projects to get them done. The alternative would be if we don't do the loan, then we are going to move forward with 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, and 9th. But either way, we know it's a priority. So once we have that determined, we will be designing and going to bid for the next projects, whatever those are. The code enforcement analysis, he presented a report in the old format this month, but I'm working on next month a newer format, some ideas that I've used from resident feedback. I'd like to incorporate a section that kind of shows more of the outstanding open violations, but just tracks them better, whether it's something like a house that is incompleted or a structure that's not permitted. It'll be more laid out so that some of those ongoing code enforcement steps that we're going through are just laid out and can be followed by residents. And then another thing I wanted to do, which I've been testing or playing around with on an Excel spreadsheet, but I want to tie in our different categories of code that we talk about in the survey so that I can lay it out in a pie chart to display kind of what we're covering in month to month, make it a little bit more visual. The City Hall generator, it was suggested that I reach out to CAT. So I contacted CAT Ring Power. They did not currently have a used natural gas generator. They're still looking for one, so I can get a price on that. Currently, they have diesel only. A resident, after that past meeting, approached me with an idea for his company was looking to auction off an existing generator they had. Right now, it's still kind of on the table where I'm looking at the price for the install if we were to attain that generator and the transportation price. I just want to get the numbers because I want to explore the option for consideration. It would be a much larger generator, but we'd be getting it at a very good price. Just thought since it was out there, it's still an option. I've investigated to see, just because we're talking about different options for generators. The buoy replacement, I got some prices on that. The follow-up, I put the application in for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the FDEP before the holidays. I followed up after the holidays. It kind of went on hiatus for a little bit. At least with the Army Corps, it's been assigned, and I will keep following up with FDEP to make sure I have their approval, because I need their approval to go back to FWC with their application package. FWC is fully aware of the steps that I'm taking so that they know we're in compliance with taking or pursuing permit. The 16 buoys, I got some prices. We're just to let you know what we're looking at. The 16 buoys for our swim zone is going to cost roughly about $5,000, and that's with all that's the buoys only. But when you do the install, the contractor will put together the anchoring system and the stainless steel hardware. The pricing on the install has gone up significantly since the last time they installed 16 buoys. It's almost double it's up to $20,800 is the quote I got. So I'm going to shop around. I'm going to look at some other options with helical anchors, and also I recently in contact with Clearwater Beach when we had the storm wash up some of their markers, kind of talked to them about who they were using, so I'm going to try to reach out and see if there's any better pricing option. I got the Morgan Park parking lot that's on the agenda. We'll talk about that later. Some other quick notes. We're offering a CPR class. Our staff is due to be recertified as CPR first aid. That's going to be on January 19th at 7:30 a.m. here. That's open to the public. So if anyone's looking to get a CPR certification, I believe it's going to be $60 base fee and additional, it might be $50 base fee and additional $30 for the first aid part. We can get the CPR for free. That will be put on by our local Bell Suncoast Fire Department representatives. So should be a good class. We'll also advertise that in the health fair. The RFQ, we got all those submissions. We got 6 statements of qualifications submitted. Last week we had our preliminary evaluation where we met and we scored the 6. We have a ranking order at this point. The recommendation is that we follow up with all 6 firms. Looking at the January 18th to January 25th for interview time slots, and I would like to bring in the firms and hear their quick presentations and be able to ask them how they can tailor to our needs in the city, and then we will score them based on those results. And I expect to have a recommendation for agreement by the next council meeting. My old position, the Community Services Administrator, I'm down to 2 candidates, and I'm planning on, actually I have them both scheduled this week to come back for a secondary kind of informal interview. I'd like for them to meet the public works staff and be shown around some of our facilities and see some of our equipment, just to get a feel from the staff about the 2 candidates, and then get that feedback before I make a decision. But they're both great qualified candidates, so we kind of lucked out. Got about 5 applied, but that's 2 quality candidates out of 5. And that was solely from posting it on our city website and using some LinkedIn contacts. So I was satisfied with that. We got the audit we just approved, and they should be on site in 1 to 2 weeks to start our annual audit. I believe that's all.
Thank you for the very detailed report, but we greatly appreciate it. Council, any questions? Mr. Roberts.
Kyle and I had a couple of conversations about this with the 12th and 13th Street project. I think in the future, Kyle, I don't know if we address this in our conversation, but the as-needed area, if we can kind of in future bids that we put out there, that we minimize that. As an example, for the removal and reinstall of the pavers, if we could have had that in the original bid, so we weren't really leaving it up to them with respect to what they were going to charge us per square foot or square yard, whatever measurement they used. So that would be part of the original bid, because as we all know, anytime a contractor gets an opportunity to come up with their own numbers, it's going to be not a good one for us. So yeah, we could include that in there for that removal of it.
And as a recap, it was included in the original bid. It was included as needed items, so we could provide that price. But the way it was handled with the PO and the contract was not having it built into the PO. It was said that the ad needed would come out of the contingency, 10% of the contingency. Yeah. So it was bid on.
No, I get that, but it would be, in our conversation, you were saying that they included it as an as-needed. So we didn't know what their unit price was going to be?
No, we did.
We did know the unit
price. We did have a price on it.
They included that?
Yes.
Okay, but we didn't know what the actual measurement was. I think they could have actually defined that in the engineering firm. Could have taken the time to define the areas that those pavers existed. And if something was added from a homeowner, once the bids went out, again, that unit price would apply. But I think we would do a better job of tightening that up, so they don't have the ability to come back later, and we're in the situation we are in now, where we're saying that price you gave us is too high. So anything we can do to kind of tighten that up would be a good thing. On the generator, so I know you mentioned this earlier, that it, CAT had some that were diesel. Again, one of the places I came from before, we had multiple generators out there for each building, and we did have diesel tanks. So typically, obviously based on the size of the diesel tank, so if they have a good price on something, I wouldn't walk away from it. I guess is my point, because we could use diesel, and then we can have a contract with a diesel provider that they guarantee us during any type of an event. It's guaranteed that they will provide us with diesel fuel when we need it. Now, is that a perfect thing? Probably not. If they just say they're, but they're supposed to provide it once they sign the contract. So we could provide, if we got a good price again on a diesel generator, that still may be a good option for us, even though we prefer, I'm assuming, because we have natural gas, right?
Yeah, more reliable, but
Yeah.
it's good both.
Okay. That's it.
Anyone else? Yes. Let's go with Ms. Livingstone.
Question for you. What's your timeline for completion on the 7th?
So the dock is done. I got filled up dirt coming in on Friday. With my staff, I want to have it done by the end of the month. Probably before that, but involving ordering the sod and getting it thrown down, mixed in with other things.
Is there a maintenance schedule as far as, because there seems to be a lot of debris that comes up when we walk on a regular basis, that comes up, is there some sort of maintenance schedule to keep that debris out?
Our current maintenance schedule is at least once a week, or when cited, when they come by and see that accumulation. It hasn't been cleaned during the project. We kind of let it accumulate until we had to clean it. So right now, I think it's somewhere.
Mike Sager.
Yeah, great list. You're missing some things. Let's go over them, shall we? Kyle and I have been working together. First thing I want you to know, I don't know if the city council knows, but right now we are streaming our meetings live. We have both a taped and a live meeting so people can join in starting at 6 o'clock on our council night. So again, thank you, Kyle. Next was, you may notice here on Causeway that I was talking to some people, various citizens, got together with Kyle. We had a meeting with the county and the citizens, and we got a brand new fence installed. County came and installed it. Nice, black, beautiful. Next thing, obviously, we're working on is landscaping and potential funding for a fountain. But the last one is a weird one. I got a phone call last week, and it was about a floating hydrant in the water, about an 18-footer. Obviously, that would probably injure you if you hit it with a boat or get damaged boatlets, etc. I was able to get a rope on it, pull it in, and tie it up to a pier. The next day, Kyle showed up with a complete crew, and here's the weird one. Instead of just kind of grabbing the rope, Kyle had his swim trunks on. He waded out, pulled, swam the piling all the way to the edge of the seawall. And then their team pulled it out, chopped it up, put it in there. So kudos, this one hell of a move there, buddy. So that's what we're working on. So thank you very much for all your work.
Anyone else on the council? 12 and 13, I'm sure that we've learned quite a few lessons on that. It definitely has been more of a challenge than we probably initially expected. I think overall, everyone's pretty happy with the outcome, and it looks great. The 7th Street, back to the boat ramp, the edge of that ramp where it was doing the draw off, would you consider that to be a design flaw? Do you think that the engineers or the installer did it incorrectly, and now we kind of had to patch it up to make it usable?
I will follow up with the engineer to get his opinion. He's got a lot of experience with seawalls and docks, or boat ramps in the area. I would have to ask his opinion on that one, because we went out 10 feet in his design. And the idea is when we first went out there to figure out how big the existing was, we tracked it to about 8 feet, so we wanted to go further than that. Now the way that the sand was at the time, it kind of came up over that ramp, so that you ran out into the sand. I don't know in the process of dredging, moving that all around, if it got moved so that ramp just became where it caved out beyond it. But if I'll get an answer for you on that and see. He's fully aware of the situation. I proposed the idea of moving it back so that it wouldn't be a drop off, and he approved of it.
Yeah, my biggest fear is that we took a functioning boat ramp, pulled it out, and put a non-functioning boat ramp in its place. It'll get the boat out there, but if you can't bring it back, and if this is a recurring problem, I guess my question is do we have any recourse on the installer and the engineer who designed it, just to, even if it involves digging it out and redoing it, we want to make sure that even though it's a very small boat ramp, people that are using it can actually still use it. Right. So that's my comments on that. Other than that, like I said, very full. I appreciate all your hard work. It's nice to see the progress and the transparency. Anyone else?
Just to your boat ramp comment, is it possible to just talk to the engineer about adding riprap, which is not unusual, to have, some rock stabilization at the end of it'll stop the dirt from moving, and it'll kind of solve the problem. So you might just discuss that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Riegler. Now we are on to item 8. That's the city clerk's report. Ms. Gentry, you have the floor.
I'm on the website adding and deleting all day long, so I didn't want to say that I had put it on there until I looked at it again. But I did, I just checked it. The Board of Adjustment, yes, it was put on there last week, so it's on the home page, and then if you just click on it, it has a full packet. So, that's a normal procedure, just for, and that's fine.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Gentry? No? All right. Thank you very much. Now we move on to items 9 and 10. This is the consent agenda. This is for approval of the November 14th, 2022 City Council work session minutes and the December 5th, 2022 City Council meeting minutes. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda passes. All right, next up, item 11, regular agenda. This is for consideration of appointment of a new Park and Recreation Board member. We have one candidate, which is Mr. John Wagner. Is Mr. Wagner here tonight? And if so, would you like to introduce yourself to the council?
Mr. Mayor, council members, John Wagner, 107 6th Street. Moved here about 2 years ago, and got involved with the Parks and Rec activities, and really enjoyed them. My wife and I really love living there in Belner Beach, and I'm looking to contribute. Thanks for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Before we get to the council, I need to ask if any citizens would like to speak concerning this possible appointment.
Can I?
Yes, please. Step right up.
I'm Tammy Lavenda, 97 Harbor Drive. I would just like to say that John Wagner would be a great addition to the Park and Rec Board team. He has participated in beach cleanups, Halloween events, chili cook-off. He and his wife are very actively involved in almost everything that we do, and he would be a great asset to our team.
Thank you very much.
And Finney won the Halloween costume for the dogs. My dog.
All right, before we go to the council, I need a motion to appoint Mr. Wagner as a member of the Park and Recreation Board. Do I have a motion? Motion made by Mike Zabel. Do I have a second? Second by Leslie Natero. Mike Zabel, you have the floor.
No, reviewing the application, thoroughly experienced, looking forward to bringing you on board.
Any other comments or questions from the council? Yes, Mr. Roberts.
Yeah, I did actually have an opportunity to taste his chili, and I think he had pheasant. Is that correct? Was the secret ingredient? It was excellent.
Yes, sir, that was me. And you may never get it again if I don't get hunting up here before we do next time.
It was very good, though. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No? All right, well, let's take it to a vote. We're going to do a roll call vote. Patty?
Councilmember Livingstone?
Yes.
Councilmember Notero?
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts?
Aye.
Councilmember Zabel?
Yes?
Vice Mayor Shirley?
Aye.
Mayor Gaddis?
Aye. So passes unanimously. Mr. Wagner, you are on board, and thank you for stepping up. All right, item 12. This is for consideration to authorize the city manager to execute a purchase order for resurfacing the Morgan Park parking lot. Mr. Reefer, you have the floor.
Okay, so this purchase order is to authorize Baker paving for the milling, overlay, and restriping of Morgan Park parking lot in the amount of $18,805. Baker paving proposed the most competitive price of 3 separate proposals, and they are the paving company who just recently performed on 12th, 13th, and Bay Drive, which I thought was quality work. I did some digging into the history of the parking lot. I could not find the actual date that the oldest part of the middle section of the parking lot was paved. It's, in my estimation, it's definitely over 15 years old, probably more. I included some pictures of some of the wear and tear, just if you haven't been out there recently to see some of the weathering, rutting. There's some transitional cracking going through some different areas. Some of the base is exposed. But the last time anything was done in that parking lot was when we expanded for some additional parking spaces, I think related to the nourishment of the beach. And you can see that in the pictures, you'll see the line difference between asphalt that's about 5 years old and the older asphalt. The budget, we have currently have funding in the budget accumulated up to $35,000. And it was described for milling, resurfacing, and concrete replacement for the curbing and walkways. And I looked at the existing curbing and walkways. I would say that we don't need any funding going towards that at the moment.
Thank you for explaining that to us. Before we go to the council, let's go to the citizens. Would anyone like to speak on this topic? All right, so we're back to the council. Before we go to discussion, I need a motion to authorize the city manager to execute a purchase order for resurfacing the Morgan Park parking lot. Do I have a motion? Motion by Leslie Natero. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Lloyd Roberts. Leslie, you have the floor.
I think the memorandum of the estimates speak for themselves, I think we need to go ahead with it.
Other council members? Yes, Mr. Roberts.
So Kyle, for this particular project, do we typically put together a request for bid? Will we detail, or is it because it's under a certain number? How does the city typically handle that?
Since it's under $25,000, we request proposals, and I give them the parameters.
Okay.
So I told them at least an inch milling and overlay, but they had to restripe.
Okay, excellent. The reason I asked was I know there was some slight differences in the actual bids that were submitted in a positive way. I mean, the winning company actually is going to do inch and quarter, which is great. So, so they just did that on their own.
Yes, I really recommend it.
All right, thanks.
Other council members? I did have just one, it's probably a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Would it have saved us any money if we had rolled this project into the 12 and 13 paving project?
I talked to them about it when we were discussing that paving, and due to the mobilization, the distance between the two jobs, did not think so. But I did consider that before the holiday, trying to get them in before the plant shut down, but he told me that it wouldn't make it.
Thank you. I have no other questions. Anyone else? No? All right, so let's take it to another roll call vote. Patty, would you please call?
Councilmember Livingstone,
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Notera,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Aye.
Councilmember Zabel,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shirley,
Aye.
Mayor Gaddis.
Aye, and so it passes unanimously. Mr. Reefer, you are authorized to proceed.
Thank you.
Okay, on to unfinished business. We have any unfinished business at this time. Right, right along, we are on to item 14, which is council comments. I had so much fun doing this with the computer, so it's never going to be the same way twice, except for the fact that Vice Mayor Shirley goes next to last and I go last. This time, the computer picked Ms. Livingstone to go first, so you have the floor.
Oh, good. I just have two questions. The first one is, in a previous meeting, and this might not be the forum for this, I apologize. In a previous meeting, we were talking about the piping and we couldn't find the documents for that particular piping where we had an issue. And then we went for the paving, we couldn't find the documentation for that paving. I don't know if there's been some laws enacted since all of this has taken place, but what measures are we taking to make sure that we're able to find appropriate documentation moving forward? And this is no reflection on you by any means. I just have that question.
I'm glad you asked. City Clerk and I kind of discussed what would make it easier when going through our records area. It's all physical papers and bins, so there's no easy way. Some of the more current stuff, it's our computer. We can search it using modern technology, but some of the older stuff, and this I think predates what we can search on the computer. You have to go through and kind of look at different indexes and try to figure out when it possibly could occur. Our solution, and I want to get some prices on it, is to try to start going electronic so that we can start filing and make it a lot more searchable.
And the next question just has to do with work sessions. How could we have those in music sessions?
Well, funny you should ask. I am planning on having one on 2 weeks from today, on Monday. I believe it's the 23rd. That was all I was going to talk about. I'll bring it up.
Sounds good. Quality. Thank you.
Oh, and also, just so you know, whenever it's your turn to speak, you can talk about anything you want to, as long as you want to, except for you make it a point if you want too long, we have to buy us all pizza. We'll work through it.
Remember, Livingstone, more to the point on work sessions, they're not on regular intervals, or at least have not historically been over the last 6 months. There's been a lot that this ambitious council's been working on, so in some months we had 4 or more, but that's the exception, not the rule. So it's, the fact that one's coming up is an indication that, oh, okay, great, we're going to have to do that, but it's not something you can play with the clock on that way. We try to coordinate member schedules when we do have those sort of anticipated, hey, we need to fill a vacancy, we need to pass something quickly before the legislature does something, or because of a hurricane or whatever else. We try to give as much notice as we can for these kinds of special meetings and workshops.
We typically at least try to have one. But in December, we try to get rid of one away. All right, next up, the computer picked Lloyd Roberts.
Good. Thank you, Mayor. I had a conversation earlier today with my friend Randy, and what I would like to recommend or propose is I think it's wonderful that we start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. In addition to that, I think we should actually open the meeting including a prayer. I worked for a state organization for many years, and they had a board that was appointed by the governor. And every monthly meeting that we had, along with the Pledge of Allegiance, somebody opened the meeting with a prayer. So I would like to propose that we do that, and I think you mentioned the upcoming workshop. I would like that to be an item on that workshop where we discuss that and hopefully come up with a plan as to the best way to make that happen. I think anytime we can get some help from somebody via the prayer, that would be a good thing. So that's my recommendation.
Thank you. And I like that idea also. We will add that to the work session to be discussed. And I will also add that in the various meetings that I attend throughout the county, the majority of them actually do open with a prayer, and as they do the pledge. So you're not the only person who thinks that way. Anything else? All right, thank you very much. All right, next up is Mike Zell.
Cool. Since we're going out live, I just want to reiterate, if you want to contact me, number is 301-943-3443. Don't worry about calling me, just call me, leave a message, I'll talk to you. Second is my email is mike.zabel@cityofbelairbeach.com. The reason I bring that up is during the latest hurricane, this city has, and I got to watch the terminology here, there's a considerable number of people that find it difficult to lift 35-pound bags and let alone fill them, place them at their residence. And what I'm asking for is if you need assistance or you have problems doing that physicality, is I'm trying to assemble one list of those people with their addresses and compile that or match that to another list of volunteers that want to come out here when this hits, come out early, fill the sandbags for these people, and then distribute it to these houses. Too often, it's maybe one person knows of somebody, but a lot of these people really, and I gotta say it, they don't have friends, they don't have an extended network. And too often they fall between the cracks, and when you're between the cracks, chances are, you could be injured or die. So I'm looking for that is, come back to me, we'll get some names assembled, I'd like to bring before the council to see if we can put that up, that there's a series of people that, may need it, we can keep it hidden, but they have matched volunteers to assist them during the time of hurricane. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zabel. Next up is Nadero. Vice Mayor Shirley.
I'm so Coley, sorry that we didn't get a chance to say thank you, but she's done a great job helping with the Parks Board, and I'm really, if you guys see her, tell her thank you for all the service, we do appreciate it. And John, thanks for stepping up, we appreciate your help, and really, if there's anyone else that's, looking to assist with the city, I'm sure there are plenty of board positions. See Patty, she's always looking for help around the city. And just thanks for coming out and participating in the meeting.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All right, as I mentioned earlier, our next work session is on Monday, January the 23rd. A few of the items that will be discussed include the new sign ordinance and buoys on the beaches. There's been some discussion, it was originally raised by Councilmember Banker about placing buoys on the south end of, I still consider it our beach even though it's not our beach in name. And then also discussing holiday lighting on Gulf and Causeway Boulevard. I'm sure other things will be added, but there's a little sneak preview of just initial items that's been discussed.
Also, I'd like to thank everyone who attended tonight. Happy New Year. And that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn? It's a motion. Okay. Do I have a second? All right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Good night, everyone.